purpose of this video is to show you to make a very simple table view with two elements. Okay, so let me first start out with Xcode, and I'm going to make a new project. As you can see here, that's my new project. I'm going to make an app, and it would be my first table view 1. Okay, my first table view 1, and I'm going to store it in this directory. Okay, so I get my first table view. So the first thing I have to do is to go to the storyboard and add a table view. Okay, so I look for table view, this one. Okay. And when we add a table view, we want the table view to cover all of this view here. Right. So what I'm going to do is very simple. I'm going to put 0 there, 0 here, 0 here, 0 here. So I'm saying put the table view right at the view. See, it's cover everything. You can decide to have a little bit of space here if you wish, but I don't, so I will just put it like this. That's for the table view. One thing I have to do is I have to set the data source and the delegate of the table view. So I'm going to select the table view, select the connection inspector, and I want to say for the table view, the data source can be found in this view controller here. So I'm going to drag it over there. So say data source is view controller, and I have to set the delegate to the same view controller. Okay, so now that's it. I have a table view, and the view controller, this one is the one that contain the table view. So what I have to do is I have to say that the view controller will implement the protocol table view data source. So UI table view data source. Okay. So once I say that the class implement the UI table view data source, then I have to write a bunch of protocol. You see, I have to add the protocol stub. So I say yes. So that's the protocol stub. Okay, so as we discussed before, there are two methods we have to implement for the data source for the table view, which is the method table view number of row in section and table view cell for row in index path. So first, I just want to make sure that I put a mark here. It is for the table view methods, and I separate that with a mark here for, well, I will say this like the main function. Okay, main. All right. I have to define an array of people, right? So a person has an image and a name. I have to define the person, and I have to define an array of persons. So let me quickly do that. You remember how to do that, right? So I'm going to say new file, Swift file. Okay, it would be person. Okay, so I have a class person. I'm going to copy and paste just to show you how to do this. So I have defined my class person that has a name and an image, the init function and the function get name and get photo. Okay, so in the view controller, I have to define my array, right, that contain people. Right? So I'm going to define here. Okay, I'm going to just again copy and paste. So that's my table data, which is an array of person. Okay. So now in the method, number of row in section, this method is called by Xcode when it needs to make the table view. In general, a table view may contain many sections, and each section may contain a number of rows. Right? For the first example, we have only one section, so we don't have to worry about the parameter section. We just say that the number of rows is the size of the table data. Right? So here I'm going to return, right, table data dot count. Right? That's the number of rows. And the method table view cell forward index path tell Xcode what to display for a given row. So the row, so usually just when I click here, I know that the first row is selected. When I click here, I know that the second row is selected. So for each cell forward index path, there is a component called row, and I have to tell that, you know, the first row of the table view correspond to the first element of the table data, right? And the second row must correspond to the second person in the table data. So the code to do that is, again, I'm going to just copy and paste. First, I will explain this code later. So I'm going to simply say, I'm going to define simply a constant string, right? And then I'm going to say the first thing we always do in the method cell forward index path is to try to reuse a cell. Okay, this is a little bit funny. So what we're saying here is I'm going to check for the method DQ reusable cell. You can see here. So we want the system to try to take a cell that can be reused. Okay, if that cell exists, then we use it. If not, then we have to make a new cell. Okay, this is a little bit funny. I mean, we shouldn't have to do this by hand, right? By code, but we have to. So maybe in the future, Xcode will just simply try to find a cell, a reusable cell for us. The reason is this. You may have a table view with 20,000 cells. Right? So every time you scroll up and down, uh, many cells may have to be created visually, graphically, right? And that's very expensive. This is why we want to reuse cell. So this is simply the code to reuse the cell. And for each cell, we have to have an identifier. That's why I have to define that over here. Okay. So now what I want to say is if row 1 or row 0 is selected, I want to display the first person in the table view. Right? And the way to do that is I'm going to write this code and then I'm going to explain. Right? First, I'm going to say, the image view, which is this component here. That's the image view. Right? The image of that should be the selected row, and I will get the photo. Right? So data table is this table here. Right? So for example, if row is 0, this one, right? Then there would be table data index 0 get photo. So get photo of the 0th person. Right? If the value of row index path dot row is 1, then I will get the first photo, the photo of the first row. Right? Okay. And then I have to get the name, right, of the right, the name of the person. Right? So again, the cell has a text label property, which is this property here. And I want to set that property to the name of the corresponding row in the table data. That's just the code for that. And then I simply say I have to return the cell. Okay, I have to, yes. Okay. Yeah, I have to extract the value of the cell because the cell could be an optional, right? So this code simply means I want to get the corresponding information on the table data array, right, to display. And of course, now I have to have the people, right? So in this method, view did load, I will say, I will make data to say like, I will say create data. Right? So I have to write a function create data, which is say this function here. Say function create data, and this function in this function I will initialize the table data. So to do that, I need to have a name, and I have to have names and images, right? So I'm going to get some images from outside. Okay. So that's one image. That's a second image. Okay. So in the function create data, I'm going to simply make two elements, right, in the array. So I make the first person with the name and the image, and I append the person into my array. I do the same for the second person. Okay, and then this should work. So let's run. I'm going to run it again. It will be a different app, right? But I'm going to run it. Let me run it on, yeah, I can run it on the iPod Touch. So let me run it on the iPod Touch. So where's my iPod Touch? It's like here, this one, right? It's running there, right? Okay, so that's our first table view, and you can see that there's something which is not nice, which is the the size of the UI image view of each row of the table view is not fixed. It depends on the size of the image. Okay. Um, so every cell, okay, here we don't have every cell, right, of the table view has a property which is an image view and a text label. And actually it has several other properties too. Right? So the image view here, we would think that it has a fixed size, but no, you can see here the size will expand or contract depending on the size of the image. Okay, so that's not good. We want the size of the image to be the same, but that's for another lesson. Okay, so that's it for this lesson.